stitch this and let me know what is the best piece of advice you've ever received about love, and I'll share mine with you. Mine is to not look for love or loyalty from people who do not even love themselves or who are not loyal to themselves. Now, if people introduce themselves as, hi, I'm John, I do not love myself, this will be a lot easier. But unfortunately, people do not. A lot of people fake it. And a lot of people pretend to be things that they're not because they want to be socially accepted. But if you watch people long enough, you're going to learn what you need to learn about them. Because people who don't love themselves will often exhibit these traits. Number one, their whole identity is wrapped up in comparison, meaning that they don't have a sense of self without others. So they're either going to be busy putting other people down because it makes them feel superior because, they don't feel like they're enough themselves, or they only think of themselves in relationship with other people. Like, this person is doing that, I'm doing this. That's what makes me a great person. So it's all about comparing their worth as a human being to someone else's worth. And it's only in that they can identify that they're worthy. Or another thing that they will do is that they will surround themselves with people that they want to be like because they don't feel like they're enough, they don't feel worthy. And they will do that to kind of absorb energies from those people. So, as an example, if I don't like the complexion of my skin as a black person and I hate being a black person, I'm going to surround myself with people from another cultural group, as an example. Let's say they're white. I'm going to surround myself with white people, and then I can feel like I'm worthy because I'm around all these white people. So obviously, I'm worth something because this society really values whiteness. So that's just an example, just to illustrate how that can show up. And it's not just about race. Sometimes it's socioeconomic status. People, hang around people that are more wealthy because they feel like, okay, if I'm rolling with these people, then I'm somebody in this society. So all of their identity is wrapped up in otherness. So they don't have a sense of self without the other. And it's always in comparison with the other. The other thing is how they talk about themselves, how they treat themselves, and the kind of esteem and value that they give themselves. And you can see that in the way they communicate about themselves. You can see that in the way they take care of their bodies, in the way they take care of their health, their mental health, their well-being. You can see that in the life choices that they make. Are they making decisions that enhance their well-being or not? You can see that in the type of loyalty that they have for themselves. That they go to bat for themselves or do they not? Because the bottom line is, if somebody is not loyal to who they are and they cannot stand 10 toes down in who they are and what they are, they're not going to be able to do that for you. They're not going to have your back if they can't have their own back. They're not going to give you love if they can't give themselves love. It's like this glass of water. I can't give you what I don't have, so don't ask for it.
Libra loves love. The problem with Libra, though, is Libra wants a love that is hard to sustain. Libra's version of love is so fantasy ridden that it's not really a sustainable version. It's one that is only for the movies and the storybooks. And Libra will deny this till they die. But the truth is, as soon as the monotony of love kicks in, Libra starts to get wandering eyes because Libra wants constant entertainment. Libra wants constant infatuation. They want constant wonder. They want the magic of love. They want the fantasy of it. They want to breathe it. They want to smell it. They want to feel it. They want trips to Paris, green tea and mint, body scrubs and double couple massages. Libra wants to go down the street to the cafe and listen to jazz music and drink espresso all night and talk and, look longingly in each other's eyes and writing each other's love poems upstairs. That's Libra, just glimpses of love everywhere. And I understand Libra. I get the appeal. I understand the fantasy, but it's not real love. Because real love is not always in that scenario. Sometimes it's in the waiting room at the ER. Sometimes it's holding their hair up while they're throwing up in the bathroom. And sometimes it's doing the laundry so everybody has something clean to wear. And yeah, that's not sexy, I know. It's not very exciting either, but love cannot sustain on this level all the time. It has to have those moments for it to be exciting, but that can't be the default. But unfortunately, Libra thinks that's the default. Somebody says Libra doesn't do hard, the boring and the hard. Yes, Libra does not do boring or hard. That's a good way of putting it.
Love is sometimes a losing game for some people, and some people just seem to be really good at it. It just seems to come naturally to them. Today I want to talk about how you can use your astrology to determine how lucky you're going to be in love, or how to increase your luck when it comes to love. First, if you're a Libra or a Taurus, Venus is naturally on your side because Venus is your ruling planet. Venus, as you know, is a planet of love. Because of Venus, people will see you as someone who has a feminine essence, a gentle demeanor, someone who is naturally beautiful, sensitive, compassionate, with a peaceful energy, grounded, secure, balanced, and patient. Venus is a divine feminine energy, so it's more of sitting back and attracting what you want in your life. So it's more feminine, it's more passive, it's more abundant, and it's really all about just knowing that you're beautiful and that you have beautiful things and being settled in that knowing. So there's a lot of comfort that comes with that. Now let's talk about the position of Venus in your birth chart to help see what your chances are going to be in love, or what your compatibility is going to be with somebody else's birth chart. Number one, if your Venus and your sun sign are the same, you're more likely to get lucky in love. The same goes for if your Venus sign and your sun sign are in the same element. If you want to see if you or someone else are going to be compatible, look at your Venus sign and their moon sign. If their moon sign and your Venus sign are compatible, or vice versa, there's more likely to be romance between the two of you. The reason for that is because your moon sign is all about emotional security. So if the loving energy is compatible with the emotional security, then that's a good foundation to build, a healthy and emotionally secure relationship off of. Now, number three, if your Venus and Mars sign are the same, you're more likely to experience love. The same goes for if your Venus and Mars sign are in the same element. And thirdly, if your Venus and their Mars are the same, you're more likely to be compatible. So it's really about finding a balance of energies, matching energies that match and that go well together. When you have those kinds of energies that go well together, it's going to be more of a natural thing for two people to experience, romance, which is kind of that X factor that you can't really control for, because you could find somebody attractive, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you will have romance with them. Sorry, my phone froze a bit. But what I was getting at is that when it comes to love, it's not all just mathematics, because sometimes things can look good on paper. I don't know if you watch those shows like Married at First Sight. Sometimes you can look at questionnaires and data and say, okay, this will be a match. But people don't always end up meshing. And a lot of that is that spiritual element. It's that X factor that you can't control for. So this is a way to look at your birth chart to help kind of position yourself to have a little bit more success in love in a relationship type situation. Venus in Aquarius is one of my favorite placements. And yes, I am biased because I have my rising sign in Aquarius. So I can very much so relate to that Aquarian energy. In case you're wondering, yes, I do offer private astrology readings. Link in bio to schedule your appointment. If you'd like to join us for our weekly astrology Q&A on live, I host them right here on TikTok every Tuesdays and Wednesdays at 7:30 p.m. Central Time. Come and join us. Now back to Venus in Aquarius. I mentioned that Venus in Aquarius is one of my favorite placements in astrology for Venus. However, the only time I dislike seeing it when I'm doing readings is when I am, meeting somebody who has done everything but tried to be the opposite of that energy in their love life. When your Venus is placed in Aquarius, you're here to experience love very profoundly and very deeply. And what I mean by that is experience it wholeheartedly, outside of these lines, these rules, these titles that we give to each other once we get in relationships. You see, most of us have learned about relationships from television, from movies, from stories that we've read, some of us from our parents. However, when it comes to Venus in Aquarius, the goal is not to live up to a standard that society has imposed upon you, but rather to connect deeply on a soul level, a humanitarian level, on a human level with people in a deeply kindred kind of way. So it's about more than romance. It's about more than love. It's about a deep spiritual attachment to another human being. This is why Venus and Aquarius people are truly humanitarian people. They have kind hearts, very sensitive souls, tend to have warm and loving friends, tend to get their energy, the most energy from being surrounded by warm and loving souls. They can be highly social, super generous, energetically. They are creative, original, big visions, big ideas about the world, and they're not afraid to go out there and get it. And a lot of people think they're weird, they're odd because they do their own thing. They don't want to do what everybody else is doing, but they look good while doing it. And more importantly, they're really, really good at it. And being around them motivates everybody else to really be themselves, to be true to themselves, to live life according to their own individual terms. A lot of us are afraid to be ourselves because we don't want, society to reject us, or we want to fit in. We don't want to be the oddball. But Venus in Aquarius embraces that. And that is where their power comes from. They're not afraid to redefine things, even this idea of fidelity in relationships. Aquarius can be as faithful as Capricorn, but it just has to be faithful to the agreement that the two of you made, not so much faithful to an agreement that society imposed on them.
For more astrology content, you may follow all of our YouTube astrology channels. The first one being at Ntuitive Healing for Astrology 101, at Styled Under Libra for Love, at Astrology Weekly for Horoscopes and Manifestation, and lastly at Styled Under Virgo for Medical Astrology. You may check out intuitivehealing.com for astrology readings as well as healing crystals, and make sure to check out our manifestation group on Patreon at patreon.com/intuitivehealing. Catch you soon on the next video.